Turkish Airlines presents Business Africa.
Hello and a very warm welcome to this episode of Business Africa. I'm your host, Afolake Oyiloye. The top stories this week. The Nigerian president says the fuel subsidy cut will save the government billions, but citizens and businesses in Nigeria are wary of the impact. With the value of the naira currency further plummeting within the period, the economy is headed for inflation. In Angola, the government organized the Angotic 2023 conference, an international forum on information and communication technologies. This three-day event serves as a platform for discussing and addressing the present global and future challenges related to the ICT. The value of merger and acquisition transactions within any sub-Saharan African involvement reached $2.9 billion during the fourth quarter of 2023, an 80% decline compared to the fourth quarter in 2022, the lowest first quarter total since 2003. The Nigerian government introduced an oil subsidy to cushion the effect of the rise in global oil prices in the 1970s. The subsidy had kept petrol prices cheap for decades in Africa's biggest economy, but it became increasingly costly for the country, leading to wider budget deficits and driving up government debt. The new president's decision to remove the popular petrol subsidy is imposing an extra burden on the masses.
Hardly a month after Nigeria's new president scrapped the government subsidy that helped reduce the price of petrol, the cost of living has skyrocketed and businesses are struggling to adjust. Prices have gone up for food and other commodities, and consumers have less money in their pockets to spend, which has had a direct impact on businesses.
The removal of subsidy has been a nightmare, especially for small business owners like mine. It has affected our purchasing power, like everything has gone up. Fuel affected everything from pepper to beef, even transportation, like going to the market, coming back. Before you would use like 500 naira to go to the market, but after the fuel subsidy removal now, it's like 2,000 naira, like over 200% increase all around and everything.
The bad state of Nigeria's oil refineries means Africa's top oil producer depends on imported refined petroleum products. The government, however, pays part of the price per litre to marketers to cover the landing costs and to reduce the pump price for consumers. In removing the decades-long subsidy, President Bola Tinubu sought to save the Nigerian government $39.8 million that it was spending daily in 2022. And yet many Nigerians think the government is yet to realize the severity of the situation.
There is a significant change in the way I eat in restaurant now because I have to calculate everything I spend more than the way I used to do. So if before I do come mostly every day and all that to get my food, but now I think twice.
While Tinubu did not set a date for the subsidy removal, the impact is already being felt far and wide.
Ayodeji Ebo, a Nigerian economist, joins us for more on that story. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Now, one of the major policy reforms by the president is the fuel subsidy removal. Now, this is supposedly would free up funds for the government, but why now after 4 decades of it being in place?
I believe that what the current administration has looked at is that it's best to take it out, which effectively removes all the unethical practices that we're seeing in that space, and as a result, also free up cash for the government. The NNPC has also not been able to remit dollars to the CBN as a result of we call it under recovery, because they take this subsidy money from source, and that is also impacting on our FX. So I would say by and large that I think there's no better time.
Now, we've also seen the value of the naira currency plummeted within the period. How is it all connected?
Looking at the naira, the devaluation that we saw was on the official window. But before that devaluation, more than 80% of Nigerians don't have access to FX at the official market. So at the official market, most people, or the unofficial market, most people have been patronizing, is still at the current rate. So we've not seen any major depreciation at that market. So it's now that we're expecting to see a convergence of the rates that we would see that impact. One, when you look at it theoretically on government debt to GDP, that would go up significantly. Debt to revenue will go up because of the dollar elements that is being used. Also, but we also need to recognize that government revenue, fact allocation, would also jump up, which means more revenue for federal government, state government, and local government. So all in all, we believe that over time, this is also going to be positive if it's followed up with the necessary policies.
You spoke of measures earlier on. How can the government reduce the impact on citizens? We
expect that the SMEs that form a major bulk of the activities in Nigeria, there can be tax holiday for SMEs. Secondly, we need to also be aggressive with partnership with private investors in opening up the economy, but such as infrastructure. Moving goods from the northern part of Nigeria to the west can be done using the rail, and that will reduce a lot of costs. And insecurity is also very paramount. Businesses will come in, agriculture output would improve if security is also tackled. So these are like the low-hanging fruit that if it's tackled, that will begin to see that benefit as a country.
Mr. Ebo, thank you so much for those insights.
Always my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Angola's largest international technology forum, Angotic 2023, is back after a 2-year hiatus due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The event promotes debate around current global and future issues in information and communication technologies between government entities and the private sector. It showcases innovations as well as new trends in the industry. We have more.
Angotic 2023, which brings together government entities, exhibitors and specialists showcasing innovation as well as trends in the ICT sector, is a vivid demonstration of how Angola has invested strategically, although only 26% of the population are internet users through mostly mobile networks. The government's decision to liberalize the telecom market has triggered a rapid digital transformation. Yes, the advantages that Angotic is presenting us are innovative technologies. There are lots of technologies that it was so rare to talk about here in Angola. For example, the metaverse, a very recent technology here in Angola, and we're only just in an embryonic phase. This startup from this forum has brought something new. The Central African nation has built data centers and optic fiber projects. According to the latest statistics from the Angolan Communications Institute, Angola has 23.9 million cell phone subscribers and over 10 million internet users. Angotic 2023, a global event organized and promoted by the Angolan government, hopes to improve coverage and quality of ICT services, as well as promotes debate around current global and future issues in ICT.
We brought other services of innovative technology. We have the service of drones that we have now with a partnership that we had signed just recently with the #1 in the field of drone services. And so that will facilitate us to provide these field drones not only to Angola but to the region on the continent with the services of monitoring, data collection, data analysis. We believe that at the end of this forum, we'll be expanding markets, not only in Angola, but also in Africa.
While there are numerous benefits from digital transformation, the Angolan government has identified cybersecurity as a top priority as it seeks to address threats to end users, including government and private organizations.
The global value of mergers and acquisitions M&A involving companies operating in sub-Saharan Africa registered an 80% drop compared to the same period in 2022, according to a new report. Experts blame it on the pandemic and the global recession.
A new report by Refinitiv, a global provider of financial market data, shows that most economies in sub-Saharan Africa are still struggling to cope with the effects of the pandemic and the global recession. The report highlights that commodities, energy, consumer products and telecom sectors accounted for over 60% of mergers and acquisitions in the first 3 quarters of this year, down 80% on the same period in 2022. Nigeria, Zimbabwe and South Africa lead the way. A breakdown by country of the value of all M&A transactions recorded south of the Sahara shows that Nigeria topped the list of target countries in the first quarter of this year. Africa's biggest economy recorded transactions with a cumulative value of $703 million. Next came Zimbabwe, South Africa, Cameroon, and Malawi. The subsidiary of the London Stock Exchange Group, Refinitiv, also points out that total fees received by investment banks operating in sub-Saharan Africa during the first 3 months of 2023 amounted to $64.8 million. This amount is down 50% on the same period in 2022 and is the lowest since the first quarter of 2010.
And that's all we had for you this week on Business Africa. Thanks for joining us. For more business stories and news, stay tuned to Africanews and Africanews.com.
Business Africa was presented by Turkish Airlines.